Hello, mate. Welcome to another episode of the Building Brands podcast. This week, we are joined by the lovely Sam Moles, the Employee Ownership Advisor and Marketing Manager, I think, down at Stephens Scown, a law firm in Exeter. Had a really good chat with Sam, who I met years ago, which we go into a little of that, so I won't go into it here. I will tell you about him from what we can find out on his LinkedIn page. He says, I like helping people to make the most of and find as much purpose in the jobs that they must do for the many reasons we've each experienced. Motivated people are happier and more productive. This is good for them, good for their business, and for the economy. That's lovely. And it really sums up your man Sam and his approach to personal branding and employee ownership and all sorts of other things that he's involved in down at Stephens Scown. I know you're interested. He and I have 73 mutual connections on LinkedIn. Stephens Scown on LinkedIn, it's pronounced scone, and I keep forgetting. They are proudly displaying 3 badges on their LinkedIn page. Number 1 is that they're proudly employee owned. Number 2 is that they're a certified B Corp. And number 3, and a thing I think is most unique, is that they are one of the Sunday Times Best Places to Work 2025. Their office is lovely. It's just been refurbed. And if everybody's like Sam, then I would imagine they're probably in the top 1 or 2. Great people. Stephens Scown describe themselves on LinkedIn as an award-winning law firm with its clients at heart. We are more than lawyers, we are trusted advisors. Well, that kind of makes sense from what I know about them. Let's get over to me and Sam having a chat in their lovely, lovely meeting room down in Exeter. I'll catch you at the end to let you know what's coming next. Hello, Sam.
Hi, John.
This is the second time I've done it because I'm so excited to be with Sam that I've forgotten how I normally run this. We're here at Stephens, I'm going to say Scown, even though I know Sam has told me it's Stephens Scone like phone.
That's the one.
Sam, what is it that you do?
That's a great question. Thanks, John. So as you have already alluded to, we first met when I came to Building Brands maybe 4 or 5 years ago. At that time, my role was as a digital marketing executive. And so my role has somewhat changed over the years. And I'm really fortunate to have started a new position at the same business back in May. So the history of my time at Stephens Scown is I joined as a videographer after studying film at university. And I came in when we were the Love Where You Live firm. So people watching might remember the brochure that we did, which is where's the best place to get a scone, where's the best beach to go and stuff. So we're much more really kind of cultural focused. We've had an evolution as a business as the economy gets crazier out there and we look to expand our business. And so we're a bit more commercial now. And as part of that journey, we've looked at how do we lean on our differentiators and how do we remain competitive and a forward-thinking business. So kind of fast forward a couple of years and the new role that I've started is split in half. So having previously been the digital executive, digital assistant before that, and digital manager most previously, half of my time is spent as the now titled personal brand and digital specialist. So the idea is from all the experience I've got of working at the firm, what are the processes that we could look to turn up? What are those things that are really valuable, but we could absolutely maximize because the effort's already being put in there? And the other side is that personal brand piece, which is the piece that I'm probably most excited about in all of this change. And that's because as a law firm, people know of our brand name, but as with a lot of brands, people don't have a connection with the business. Coke and Pepsi and Apple, they know the brand, it's synonymous with the product. Yeah. But there's so many businesses, like law firms and other service providers, where the business is just the entity that provides the people. Because we're in professional services, we're in the business of selling people services. And so actually for us, all of our 350 lawyers are like individual brands, but they're the brands that people actually touch. So there's a huge opportunity for our business, probably for all professional services, as automation and AI start to come in where we might lose some of the human, for us to really lean in to the pieces that are human AI and technology is going to alleviate a lot of the burdensome things, but it's not going to evolve us as people. And as people, we still need the connection with a human to trust our business or our mortgage or our family with. So the opportunity that I've got now is to help all of our colleagues understand what their personal brand is and how they actually amalgamate it to be the thing they want it to be. Because in a lot of cases, people have never thought, what is a personal brand? It's a bit of a pretentious term, really. It's just the story that someone else thinks of you based on the things they've consumed of you. So it's about going, this is the story that people have of you. Is that what you want? Is that true? Okay. Oh, it's this thing. Well, here's the journey for us to get there across a number of touch points.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting. And then the other hats that I'm wearing, if half my time is spent in this strategic transformational space, the other space is all to do with employee ownership. We've been an employee-owned firm for 9 years, just gone June. We're the first large law firm in the UK to do it. And I'm pretty sure I can say we're maybe the first law firm to do it, although I can't necessarily be...
Let's say you're the first. I'll say you're the first law firm to do it because
Amazing.
No one can litigate against me.
Yes,
well, they can,
that's
but there's
perfect.
no point.
So we've experienced employee ownership for a long time. And we have a legal team who can help other businesses through the journey. So part of my new role is to help advertise that team of legal advisors, coming at it with this kind of branding, marketing strategy hat on. Hopefully I can help them maximise the awareness in the market, because I truly believe that they're awesome people. They do want to be people's trusted advisors. And we offer something different in that other law firms might be able to say, we can help you with the transition. We can say we can help you, and we know what it feels like 9 years in. We know what those hiccups in the road are, those speed bumps in how people perceive it. And I'm really fortunate, actually. Quite isn't a big enough word. I'm really fortunate and grateful in that I now join kind of the EO team in a non-defined way, but to provide my own services to clients. So it's quite cool. I'm the first non-legal advisor to have clients that I can deliver work for, which is really cool. And it kind of demonstrates again Stephens Scown's forward-thinking attitude. We're a B Corp law firm. We're employee-owned. We're a Sunday Times best companies to work for. And so this opportunity that I've got to help businesses with employee ownership is fantastic, because a business transitions to employee ownership, i.e. one person is now not the owner of that. The whole workforce are beneficiaries, they're not direct owners. But as soon as you tell a human being you're now an owner of something, 100 different people in one business will run off in 100 different directions based on their own experience of what they think ownership is and what they might have heard from the marketplace of, oh, John Lewis is employee owned and they get bonuses and there's huge democracy. So the bit that I'm helping businesses with is, and I've boiled it down to a really nice simple statement, which is great for branding, which is I'll help a business turn their employees into owners. Because of all the things that happen when you become employee owned, I truly believe the one thing that really changes is I tell you you're now an owner here. That is the thing where your brain, because we're all squishy and icky and random and weird, the experiences that we've been through all amalgamate to create this unique experience, and you go off in a different direction which might pull against the tide of what the business is trying to achieve, or you might be able to be unlocked, and all the innovation that you bring to that business feeds back into to the complete business as part of the ownership model. So yeah, that's kind of the service that I'm going to be looking to help businesses with.
And how long have you been doing the employee ownership? How long have you been wearing that hat?
So as of 1st of May, my role changed. Before then, I was the digital marketing manager. After that, I'm this hybrid role of, as I've said, digital and personal brand specialist, and the employee owner hat I kind of wear as an ownership engagement advisor is kind of how I define myself.
Nice.
But because if you call yourself an employee engagement, someone goes, oh, it's not that. I don't need that. Why do I need to engage my employees? Whereas I'm very specific that it's this ownership mindset. It's the way that people think, feel, and act. And that delivers change.
That employee ownership thing is where we went again, because we met at Professor Mario Vafeus's employee ownership sort of
his research
forum,
paper.
paper thing that he launched at UWE, which is where we hold Building Brands Bristol. So that's a nice little bit of continuity. We hadn't seen each other for a long time. I'm quite interested in the. I'm not interested in a lot of what you do, but just in what you just said there, there's that personal brand thing that you're doing with the lawyers, which I love, and the fee earners, because that's such a, having worked with loads of law firms and professional services firms, that's both their silver bullet to win in the market
Yeah.
and their Achilles heel.
Yeah, sure.
Like if I can mix all of the metaphors, they can't get a kind of big enough group momentum to get enough people doing it. You know, you're always going to have some stragglers who just don't want to do it, and that's cool. Like there are people who are just like, this is not for me.
Yeah.
It's not who I am. Great. And that's your personal brand, right? Like you just don't want to be a public face.
Yeah.
That's cool. We're absolutely fine with that. But you kind of like, particularly in law firms, they're clever, intelligent, articulate, often really funny people.
Absolutely.
And you just think, oh, this is such a waste that none of you will get on board with this. So I'm really excited and it's clearly working, right? You were saying, can we talk about that research?
Yeah, that's the public ranking. That's out there in the world. Yeah, so when we record, I think it was a fortnight ago, there's a business called Disseminate, and they run an application that helps businesses with their employee advocacy programs. But they also run free, they share the data every quarter, the global rankings per industry of employee engagement levels. So Stephens Scown has featured the last 6 of the 6 that I recall seeing. So we've always made the top 10 as far as this survey goes out, as far as I'm aware. But the most recent one, we're still in position 2. We'll get to 1.
Yeah.
We'll get to 1. But we're in position 2. But what I'm most pleased about is every report, our percentage goes up.
Right.
And so the data isn't on Stephens Scown as a firm putting stuff out. It's on the people who are listed as Stephens Scown employees engaging on the platform.
Right.
So it's not, we can turn these dials up as a marketing team just by creating more content and put it in. No, we actually have to change hearts and minds in our colleagues so that they're active on the platform. And the last jump was something like 8 to maybe 10% that it's gone up.
Nice.
So that's a huge amount of figure. And we are 350 sort of people. So that's maybe 30 more people that we've onboarded in the last quarter have bought into the message.
Yeah.
And as you say,
number 2 engaged law firm on the planet.
It's very cool. I'm very proud of that accolade.
Yeah, that's hard work.
Yeah, it's been hard work. As you say, lawyers don't necessarily get it because their day job is to support clients with legal work, and legal work is not complex, right? That's why legal advisors are so sought after, and it's such a rigorous process to become qualified and deliver that service. And you pay the value you pay because it's high quality work. So it's hard for legal advisors to find the time to invest in something like LinkedIn or developing their personal brand. And as I always tell my colleagues, you know, you've got 3 priorities, and I appreciate that what I'm telling you falls into the bottom puddle because they've got to deliver great client work. They've then got to generate new clients to keep busy and ensure that the business can keep the lights on with fees coming in. And they've got to build those clients again so that the money we hold in account would have to write off and so on and so forth. So everything else sits in this, as I call it, the puddle below that. It's business development, it's marketing, it's cultural training, it's anything else that doesn't directly generate new business. And the message that I've conveyed, I've hammered into them for years and years, is that actually investing in your personal brand now means that the first 2 items are made easier over time.
Yeah.
And we deliver a quarterly business update, and I joined my colleague Joy Vollens recently. Joy's agenda at the business is to ensure we grow. The economy's stagnant, inflation's up, so we have to do better than before to make the same.
Yeah.
So we're on a growth agenda. We're opening an office in Bournemouth by the end of the year. We're expanding eastwards. And I joined Joy when Joy was talking about the need for growth to say that this absolute, not easy dial, but this very available opportunity is in leveraging the personal brands we have amongst our workforce, which we do better than a lot of other businesses, but we could still do better.
Yeah.
And so the message to convey is to legal advisors is that this is worth your investment in time for the business, but also for you personally. It's going to be easier in time if the story, the personal brand out there that is cultivated amongst people is better than your competitor. Because when people shop, they're still shopping based on the authority they perceive in people. And so if your personal brand is bigger, to take a visual analogy, than the competitor down the road, you already stand a better chance of getting that inquiry come into the business.
Yeah.
And I know you're an awesome human being and you're very authentic and you're an expert, so you can convert that person if they come into the building.
Yeah. How do you think being employee owned changes the buy-in from fee earners who are having to build their personal brand, or who are being encouraged and cajoled to build their personal brand?
That's a great question. Yeah, so the idea with employee ownership, if you do it right, because a lot of businesses make use of the tax efficient sale. If you sell to an employee ownership trust, there's no capital gains tax you pay as long as you meet a couple of criteria. So if a founder looking to sell the business for whatever reason, it's a really attractive option.
Yeah.
But if you don't engage your workforce and your leadership team, it can mean that the business changes ownership, but nothing really changes, and then people start to become dissatisfied. Oh, we're employee owned now, but nothing's changed.
Yeah.
Oh, we're employee owned, but you don't want to hear my voice. You have to handle that journey right.
Yeah.
As part of the hat that I wear. So what I think we've got right at Stephens Scown over the number of the years is in saying, and not just saying, but also putting our money where our mouth is, to say we want to hear what you have to say. We have a number of forums and processes that we've created to enable that. But when it comes to that mindset of people actually thinking, oh, yes, I am an owner here, therefore the actions I have make a difference. There's some quite clear binary things like our profit share at the end of the year, depending on the success of the business. Profit is shared amongst all of our employees at an equal rate. And then if you're able to generate people's buy-in and you show them that their engagement has a value to them, because we're all self-driven, we don't exist in a society where everyone is altruistic. We have some people who are like that, which is fantastic. But there's a lot of stress and pressures in our life.
Yeah.
Almost everyone is financially pressured apart from the 1%.
Yeah.
So you can't not ask someone just to do something and expect them to do it without some sort of trade-off. So I think the place we've cultivated through helping people to think like owners and also demonstrating why their personal brand is valuable is that combination of, if I invest time in my personal brand, spending time on LinkedIn, whichever thing it is, that's good for me because I'm now going to be more visible than my competitors. And I have a personal ambition to be a partner or an equity partner or whatever my journey is in time, depending on my role. So, it's personally good for me. And also we're an employing business, so if I'm successful, then that's good for my team. And if my team's successful, that's good for the firm. And so there's probably this apex at some point that it crosses where it's good for you in a number of ways, and then it's also good for the business. And the more successful the business it is, it's reinforcing how good it is for you.
Yeah, a virtuous circle,
It almost is, which requires a lot of effort and a lot of consistent communication.
Yeah.
Because people are not only financially stressed, people are ridiculously busy.
Yeah.
To be a successful business like we are, there's a lot of information that's always coming out.
Yeah.
And so it is another thing for us to digest and process. So the constant, not constant because then it's too much, but the almost continuous and not overly constant communication of the why is really important for us.
Yeah, cool. Talking of why do you do this? It sounds incredibly hard.
That's a really good question. I guess I've been in roles in the past, not at Stephens Scown, where I've thought, and I've always had this knowledge, I guess, that we're always running out of time, which is a very dystopian potential thought. But I think it's the other way. If you know that you're running out of time, you enjoy that time more, you maximize it. There is a finite point for us. And we all have to work, and it is the thing that takes the single most amount of time in our life. We work more than we sleep each day. And so I've kind of evolved into this role with this idea that we should try as much as we can to make the time that we have be contributing to something that fulfills us. We have to work, but do we have to do something that doesn't make us happy? And I think that if businesses can change the dial of people only fulfill the role that they were employed to fill, i.e. we're hiring for this role and you need to have this qualification and you need to complete this function, that's too binary. That doesn't account for everyone's unique differences and experiences they bring. So the more we can unlock, well, what is it you're interested in, John? Oh, we don't have that skill in the business. How can we leverage that at a small scale alongside your role so that we can benefit, you can feel fulfilled? So I think this has probably all kind of come from the idea that we have to work, but why can't we own what we're doing so it's fulfilling to us? And what I now find myself doing is probably that kind of apex of being quite people focused. The personal brand stuff is quite technical in some aspects. So, it's how strong is your personal brand score on LinkedIn? How active are you? How many events do you go to? What does our client feedback tell you? They're all very technical, objective measures. But actually, the personal development piece for me is a personal brand piece, the personal development piece. It's about going, you think you're A, but actually the data tells us you're B. But what is C? Who do you want to be?
Yeah.
It's very much that, this is the person I want to be. And then it's about approaching each person and going, you'd like to be more confident and a bit more extrovert in the marketplace. Oh, that's great to hear. How can we support you to do that?
Yeah.
And that also happens to be where your client's existing, which means we're going to generate more work, and that's beneficial for the firm. So the personal brand piece is very people development focused. And then employee ownership is that very, and it's often thought of as quite evangelical. The whole EO sector's got a lot of work to continue to do to tell business owners and people that employee ownership isn't this evangelical, isn't it nice, isn't it very left-wing and communist that we cede power and control. No, the data shows that employee-owned businesses are more productive and resilient than non-employee-owned businesses. Employee ownership is an opportunity to supercharge your business, not an opportunity to cede control. And so it's, again, with employee ownership, it's about taking a person and not just viewing of them as this job description, but about viewing as them as you're now an employee owner, you're a co-owner as part of this business. What can you bring to it? How can you make it more successful? We've now put in place these fundamental changes that means we're committed to listening to your voice, committed to acting on it. So the challenge is pushed back to you now. You're an owner. What can you do? How can we unlock that in you? Because we've kind of got this model of ownership, which is one owner or a couple of owners deciding the entire trajectory of the business. Whereas actually, if you flip that on your head and you have a workforce of 350 people, you go, okay, well, you're the people who are at the coalface. What is it you want this business to be? Those conversations of employee ownership, that starts to move towards the very democratic. It's not that democratic. Not everybody in the 300 people business gets a say on every decision. You've still got a leadership team who are in place to deliver the role that they have. But it's this idea of focusing work back on the person that delivers the work. How do we maximize that person? How do we put a rocket up there, ARSE, I swear, but without actually saying the word? How do we really unlock the benefit in people? The economy's stagnant. Things look very depressing out there. Why don't we get a bit more insular and focus on people? Why don't we make them the best they can be? Because if everyone is the best they can be, the positive ripples outside of that for people, business, and the economy is fantastic.
What was the... is there a time that you can think of in your personal life where you thought, where that happened? Because you're really people focused. No, it's the people focus. I think I'm picking up a lot here.
Yeah, that's interesting. I remember during the pandemic, before pandemic, we were all in 9 to 5, no remote working, and then like that overnight, everyone at home, getting your laptop shipped out. I remember kind of the ripple effect of that was that we'd all been very kind of people focused, I guess, because we were 9 to 5 in the office. Suddenly we went home and we were no people focused. And there was almost an opportunity for me to get more work done. Because digital marketing, which at the time I was the only person in the firm doing digital, got put under a spotlight because we couldn't physically meet people. So all marketing and business development were digital. It was a depressing time, but it was a phenomenal opportunity for me. My influence in the business and my opportunity skyrocketed. But I kind of got into this weird funk of, if it wasn't that people focused, it was task orientated. And I remember coming back, and our then head of people development, I had a chat with him as he was mentoring me, and I was kind of like, I love this model where people could just feed me work and I could just tick it off, like an in and out system. This is amazing. I'm so much more efficient. And he challenged me, and he said, okay, maybe that's like good productivity, but what is like the actual output of that? Like, we're just ticking things off, and the business does need you to tick things off. But in this role, you should be training people, supporting people, meeting people, influencing them, helping them, because our people are all experts in their area, but we should be bringing the thing we're an expert in and making it accessible to them so they can engage with us in this kind of circuitous circle. And at that kind of point in time, when I was quite comfortable in just doing tasks, it's probably easier to do tasks than it is to engage with people constantly. It requires less parts of your brain to turn on, I think.
You just pull the lever.
It was effectively like pulling the lever. Then I had to pull 3 different levers that were different shapes. It was like bop it. So his challenge to me was probably a light bulb moment in thinking about not just viewing work as the completion of tasks, but viewing work as human relationships or the opportunity to develop, because I probably got into quite a fixed version of myself. So that was probably a moment where it was a little bit of a light bulb and thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to be way more effective in my role if I'm engaging with people and supporting them, not just completing a task in and out and going, well, why are we doing this? What's the best version of this? Let me help you.
It's a good moment. That's a good moment, because you're so, I want to say passionate, but that's a politician word. You're so enthusiastic. And I also wanted to say evangelical, but that's also, that comes with its own connotations. But you're so enthusiastic about the people stuff in everything that you do.
Sure, yeah.
You've got all of the bits around the outside, the employee ownership and the personal branding and all of that kind of stuff, but you're clearly really enthusiastic about helping human beings, and I think that might be why a lot of people get into or fall into the sort of stuff that we do.
Yeah.
But they forget that bit when they get
Yes.
task oriented.
Yes.
And it's just like, okay,
Got
well, I need to,
deadlines.
I've got my spreadsheet of things that I need to get done.
Yeah.
And it can be really challenging to not just work through the spreadsheet and then go, okay, well, that's my job.
Yeah.
And I've filled my hours with the spreadsheet as opposed to that human contact that just keeps us all through. As you say, we're a long time dead, and
Absolutely.
you may as well get some contact with some real human beings and
it's a good observation
life.
on 2 points. So I originally was going to become a teacher.
Right.
I wanted to teach. I did my work experience at a primary school.
Right.
And I wanted to be a teacher of primary school kids in science. Because science blows my mind.
Yeah.
Science is crazy.
That would
right?
be great. What a job.
And that's what I wanted to do. And then I had a flip and switch. I was like, wait, what? Looking after kids? I don't want to do that. I was like 17. So then I progressed along the other passion route. But it's interesting that I've kind of come back to this point of teaching people.
Yeah.
But your point to kind of get to, which is looking forward. And we see all this talk of AI, and it's either very dystopian or very utopian.
Yeah.
Probably going to change a lot, maybe in the middle. And for me, that's the opportunity to kind of cut through the noise of what technically is going to change, then coming back to the people focus and how can we make sure that our people are going to ride through that kind of wave of change, I guess.
Yeah.
So there's definitely an opportunity for our industry because a lot's changing in law. Law is one of the oldest industries, but it could be fundamentally uprooted by what's going to happen with the technology change.
Yeah.
I still think, though, that whatever happens, it's going to come back to the need for trust in people. And we've seen the industry evolve. And a lot of industries, client experience probably wasn't something that existed 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Now there's entire industries supporting industries in their client experience.
Yeah.
So it's fundamental that we can't just be this in-out business. I'll do your work. Goodbye. Here's a bill.
Yeah.
Actually, it's about going, oh, that's your piece of work. But what does your business need? Because you might actually need this other piece of work. Not that we're trying to upsell you, but actually, if you need to be successful long term, let me understand you, rather than just the in-out. We want to be clients' trusted advisors. I know most law firms probably say they want to do that.
Yeah.
But my experience of working with my colleagues is that is generally true.
Yeah. It's the differentiator is the people, and when your prospects and your potential customers get to see the whites of their eyes, and if they get to see them earlier because they're seeing them on LinkedIn or on other social media, even better. That's when the real relationship starts to develop, and they can become that trusted advisor, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, there are, you know way more about me than that subject. I think what is funny is I was speaking to a managing partner of a law firm the other day, and he said, we might need you to come in and evaluate our CX tech stack.
Yep.
And I'm like, you have a tech stack for CX? And he's like that, yeah, you wouldn't know it sometimes, but we do. And it's like, wow. Like, it's only been like, it feels to me it's only been like in the last 6 months that lawyers got a tech stack.
Yeah.
So that's obviously ridiculous. It's been the last 20 years, but a lot of them are still, I've got horror stories, which I won't mention because those people, if they ever watch this, will recognise themselves.
But it's funny, that rate of change. When I joined Stephens Scown 9 years ago, a senior partner, because I came in and was like, YouTube's a good opportunity, or whatever I said, and I did a report, and one senior partner went, YouTube, that thing my kids watch. And now YouTube is like the second most consumed, or second most visited search platform on the planet, right?
Yeah.
And it's that
most
idea
consumed
of
media.
How quick things have changed.
Yeah.
And I saw a report recently about people's viewing habits. YouTube is now definitely challenging terrestrial TV.
Yeah.
For some generations, they don't even watch TV or have a TV license. And the LinkedIn point is another really interesting one. And I remember we had some early advocates. My colleague Amy Ralston was amazing. She's in our intellectual, you might be familiar with her. Yeah, and she's kind of really hot on the air front. But she was not even an early adopter. She just bought into it, and that team did. And then she was able to prove actual direct client wins on the platform. And it's having those sort of internal ambassadors who go, no, like older white male pale stale man, YouTube is important. Like the next generation are going to be here.
Yeah.
Look, I've directly won a piece of work through this post that I did, which is some content we have on the website, which you could share. You've already written it, so you just need to now put it out to people proactively rather than reactively. Another thing I tell my colleagues is business owners now, you will have 18-year-old business owners, they are going to go, what is email? Why are you using this carbon-intensive, slow machine where I can't send a file of a certain size? They'll conduct their business entirely on instant messaging platforms.
Yeah.
So if we don't catch up with the times, the next generation of business owners won't operate where we've traditionally operated.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they'll effectively see us as the people with the quill pens and the massive ledgers, because we're using email and not all of it. Yeah, I love that. So that's really cool, which leads us really nicely into, well done, you're an expert at this. You can tell you studied film. How do you do, and you can answer this as you, or you can answer it as Stephens Scown, or a bit of both. How do you do what you do differently to other people?
That's a really good question. How do we do it differently? It's a bit of a hard one, I guess, to answer subjectively when you're in your own lived experience.
Yeah.
But I think for me...
Thanks for pointing that out. I'll bring that up with other guests, actually. Okay, this is going to be hard because it's going to be subjective.
I think kind of combining the two pieces, the fact that we are EO, B Corp, Times West, place to work, those are things that we've committed to. They're not just statements to say, we're committed to the planet and we care about our people. We've actually put a line in the sand. We've changed our constitution to be B Corp, to say that we won't work with certain businesses. We've put a line in the sand. We've become employee-owned. We've fundamentally changed the structure of our business. So as a business, we've put our money where our mouth is to change things. But that doesn't just then mean change happens. Those things have happened 2 years ago and 9 years ago because the business has cultivated a culture for the previous 50 years that then gets you to the point where you can just almost achieve these gateposts, right? They're not something that we said, we're going to be B Corp because we'll get more clients. We went, oh, we're basically a B Corp. Why don't we certify it?
Yeah.
So we've already kind of got that culture accumulated over time. And as I say, 9 years ago, we were this love where you live business. So we were really heavily culturally and Southwest focused. The business model has changed. How we ensure we're viable and more profitable, that's changed in how we look and how we feel, but not in terms of that like icky people, culture, texture, the way that people interact with each other. I've got stories of people who've worked at London law firms where if you work in marketing, you don't even have a name, you're just the person in marketing.
Oh yeah.
You are treated like SHIT, and it's brutal. It's not even anywhere near a fair working relationship because someone is on a vastly different scale. One person earns money, one person costs money. We don't have that at the business because of the culture that we've cultivated over a long time. So that's how I think we do things differently. I probably can't put a point in time when it changed. It might have always been that way. But we are committed through the different programs and the different accolades that we have to act and think differently. And then I guess maybe I've been influenced by that. Because, as you mentioned, I did a degree in film. That's how I kind of started this journey of working in marketing. I have no actual marketing qualifications. All of my marketing experience is working for this law firm. So I was probably about 25 when I joined, so I was probably fairly inexperienced. I'd held a number of different jobs in different industries. But I have to think that the way that I'm made to be different is through that like positive continuous looping of joining the business, seeing how we interact with our peers, then evolving to find the job that I'm supposed to have. Because the work in a law firm, being in marketing was never the route for me. The idea was that I'd be a lecturer in film. I loved, I know, you laugh, I wanted to do a PhD, but it came to the point after doing my master's of either going, you could do it 3 years full-time if you can get funding, so you have to be basically penniless, or you do it 7 years part-time and work a fine job at the same time, but you're almost stagnant either for 3 or 7 years. And
you're still penniless at the end of the 7.
Exactly, yeah. And my now wife, we'd been together for a couple of years at that point already. And so we were like, well, do we want to wait 7 years to start our life, to buy a house, get a dog and have a kid? No. So then I pivoted to joining the firm. So it was very much not part of the trajectory of where I am now. So it's that nature-nurture debate, right? I have to think that some part of my characteristic is people-focused and excitable, like a puppy. Part of my personal brand is to make sure I tone down the puppy. Professional puppy.
Right.
Maybe like a Dalmatian, they look quite professional.
Yeah.
Dalmatian with a bow tie professional, rather than a Labrador with a waggy tail, which is actually what I've got.
Right, yeah. Although I punched a Dalmatian in the face once.
Did you?
Yeah, it was going to bite a kid.
Okay.
In fact, it had got the kid in its mouth.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Not a very professional Dalmatian then.
Let's not go for a Dalmatian, because I think if I punched you in the face, I'd come off pretty badly. Particularly because you're younger than me, you're fitter than me, and you work for a law firm.
Yeah, we'll probably better litigate that, wouldn't we?
But yes, a nice, a steady. You're 6 months old, 7 months old.
Yeah,
Pup.
just weeing in the garden rather than in the house.
Yeah, you've learned that.
Yeah, respectable, walk on a lead calmly.
I don't know what that metaphor is when working in a law firm.
I always come back to a metaphor of dogs. There's always an opportunity to reference dogs.
Yeah, great.
Especially when it comes to ownership.
Because they're all good dogs.
Yeah, apart from that Dalmatian.
Yeah, apart from that
That
Dalmatian.
was the one bad Dalmatian.
Next time I saw it, it had been castrated.
Had it. And
Is
it was
that
much
what we
more
call
chilled.
that? Well, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it was a lot more
Yes, that happened.
placid. Yeah. God, I can't believe I just confessed to hitting a dog in the face.
But you were saving.
I was saving a child.
Yeah. That gets
I'm
you
a
into
good
heaven.
guy.
That gets you into the pearly whites.
I'm not sure it does.
No,
I've got
no.
a lot of other stuff to
Account for.
redeem. I really love the way you describe the B Corp, the employee ownership piece, as being something that makes you personally, as well as the whole firm, will do things differently.
Yep.
Because for a lot of people, not necessarily so much the employee ownership, although as you say, you kind of mentioned earlier that maybe some people are just doing it because they want to be John Lewis, or thinking about doing it because they want to be John Lewis. But I see that a lot with the B Corp stuff. There's plenty of B Corps who are just, okay, it's great, we've got that thing now, and we've also got investors in people and all of that. Yeah. And which is a shame, because I think it can, this is my personal opinion, but I think it can cheapen the B Corp brand, sadly. And I guess that's something that the employee ownership kind of, there's a central group who kind of is a community of policy and stuff around it, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
And I guess they're trying to, they would like it to look cleaner than B Corp does.
Yes, the Employee Ownership Association are kind of the gatekeepers
That's
for
it.
it. They're the
That's
ones
it.
to champion what great looks like.
Yeah.
And hopefully change government policy to ramp up the.
They must love you guys.
I'm fortunate enough to have recently been appointed to their membership council. So yes, I love the people at the UA. They're fantastic. They're very passionate. Again, they've got that clear cause that this is something that works better for people, business, and the economy. So yes, big supporter of them, big champion.
Nice. We'll put a link to them in
That'd
the
be great.
description.
Yeah, it'd be amazing.
That's really cool. So you've had such a varied career in one organisation. I mean, you had a varied career before that academically, but you've had a varied career in one organisation, which is quite unusual. What would you go back and tell your younger self, and what younger self would you tell this to?
I remember being so hyper-focused, and I think it happens a lot. You do a degree in one thing, a degree in another, because it unlocks some certain opportunity. I think it's really hard for kids nowadays because they've got the whole internet telling them they could be anything, but it's really hard to be anything.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, being the smartest person doesn't get you it. A lot of it is chance.
Yeah.
I wanted, when I did my film degree, to work in the film industry,
Yeah.
but I didn't know anyone in the film industry. So all of my prospective volunteering things went unanswered.
Yeah.
I then discovered, after kind of studying for a few years, that I was much more into the theory. I'm a bit of a nerd, I guess, so I quite like dissecting a film and why did I make this choice and what does that mean about the culture and why societally are we thinking that? So my master's was in film and cultural management, which is more of a kind of business degree, and it's the idea that, take an example, is The Lord of the Rings a cultural product or a commercial product? The book is one of the most culturally revered pieces of literature, right?
Yeah.
But the film is also one of the biggest blockbuster earners.
Yeah.
So where does it fall on that scale? Because I would argue that they made it with the intention of making something honest, but actually it made so much money.
Yeah.
It changed the film industry in New Zealand, etc., etc.
Changed New Zealand, I would
Exactly,
argue.
yeah. All the planes are branded as it. Yeah,
Yeah.
So the degree was more that kind of balance of business, which was really interesting. But then I thought, okay, great, I love this. Like, I want to teach others this. And my first job out of uni was to go back to the same uni and do a graduate scheme. And I was working with the tech team, like outside broadcast, who would do festivals and that sort of stuff. And I loved it because passionate students would come in and go, oh, sir, no one called it sir, actually. Oh, Barry, I've seen this over the weekend. Like, what's this coding thing? It was all over my head because I'm not that technical. And I loved that energy that people were pushing the boundaries of what they knew to learn more.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to do that, but for my own practice area. So I was so hyper-focused of get my undergraduate, get my master's, do a PhD, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So
Teach the people.
Yeah, when the PhD didn't happen and I had other jobs, it was always, oh, but I'm supposed to be doing this. So I'd be doing the job, but I'd be like, but I'm supposed to be doing something else.
Yeah.
I'd be, where can I volunteer? Where can I apply? And so for the first however many years of my career, I was too hyper-focused on realising a dream that wasn't meant to be for me, or maybe it is down the road, whoever knows, right? It could end up being a lecturer for branding or employee ownership, you never know. But I was so hyper-focused on achieving things that when random opportunities came up, as they do, I didn't put as much effort in as I could. And it just so happened that, you know, with the personal branding, with the digital, with the employee ownership, that I'd been at a point of maturing and put in more effort than I previously would have.
Yeah.
And there's other things, other examples. We had an innovation hub. I did a really crap video to like promote that internally. But it was at this point where I started putting more effort into things on the off chance that one of them would happen. So a big piece of advice I tell my younger self is don't be limited by what you think you should be doing. If opportunities arise, if those doors open, push on them as much as you can, because you don't know what's going to happen from them.
Yeah.
And you don't actually know whether that might be something that suits you so much better. The chance that it has arisen is probably because it suits you in some way anyway. Things don't just, you know, I don't get offered to become a wrestler or a pro footballer. That's never going to happen. But these three things have happened and I've pushed them and they've now my job.
Yeah.
So a big thing I would tell my younger self is don't be so blinkered to the one thing you think you're supposed to do. It's fine to have passions and dreams, but when other opportunities arise, like lean into them.
Yeah.
Because they don't come around that often. They might come around only once every decade. So you absolutely have to lean into them. So it's that idea of, being open-minded. But then the second part is also put in more effort than might be expected by your contract, which is a weird thing because we don't want to tell people to overwork.
Yeah.
But we're in a hugely competitive world where, you know, there's probably 1 million influencers on one topic on one platform. And to be the one that someone sees, you have to put in more time.
Yeah.
Again, it comes back to that piece of, well, shouldn't our time be like owned by us? Shouldn't we not want to give as much of it? But if you look at the whole kind of scope of your life, and if you're going to work till you're 65, if you're able to put in a bit more time when you're earlier, that time means more over time, ironically. So it's, the advice I wouldn't give is, you know, be a slave to work. But the idea is, when you're young, you have so much time. You don't have kids. You know, you have all this free time. God, I had so much free time in the evening before I had a kid. And I wasted it. Or I didn't use it as efficiently as I could.
Yeah.
So the other piece of advice I'd give is, in some areas, do work harder. Do give up more time.
Yeah.
If you want to realise something, you have to commit the resource to it. Those would probably be the two things I'd say. But don't go crazy, because you still need to have a life, and you shouldn't be committed to only this one focus thing. But
and what you were able to do was bring some of the stuff that you loved, like film and that kind of stuff. At least you were able to bring in a way that was probably, you must have felt at the time was almost derisory. Oh God, I'm making some crappy films for law firms.
Yeah.
You know, but you were at least, you kept that little bit alive. As opposed to going, well, I'll work harder on the spreadsheets. I'll do more on the spreadsheets. You probably did that too.
spreadsheet.
It's being able to give that little bit extra of yourself, because it's also something that you enjoy doing and you're a bit of a nerd about. Employers love that, and actually it just makes work much more nice.
I think so.
Because you end up in a position where you are, where people go, well, you're good at that.
Yep.
We actually didn't even know we needed it. Why don't we?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Why don't we do it?
Yeah.
Let's do more of that, because you're good at it. We can, you know, it's definitely going to benefit. And that's great advice.
Yeah, I think people kind of get trapped, and you know, it's a sad situation where people get trapped in doing the job they don't want to do, don't feel they're rewarded, and they don't feel there's opportunity to progression. But my advice to my colleagues is like, well, that's a great idea. Put in some time, develop that, flush it out, create a proposal, put that in front of someone who makes a decision and go, as you said, oh, that is good. I didn't know we needed that. And you've already done the legwork for me? Wow, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get this up to our executive committee. Let's see if we can move it forward.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't move forward, you've developed a lot of skills. You've enhanced your influence.
Yeah, exactly.
You've enhanced your influence with someone who might decide on the future of you, but you've also probably got a kick out of something. You've gone, I've created something that never existed. This is a little bit of the nerdy thing that I like thinking about with proposals, is that document never existed before in history. You've created something entirely your own. It probably comes back to that film creative bit.
Yeah.
But it's a super boring thing to create. But you've created something entirely unique to you from your experience that no one else has ever made or will make again.
Yeah.
And so there's something just in that action of putting time and effort into something. It's probably the same thing when people retire. They go, what do? I start gardening, or I start fishing, or I start traveling. You need to find something that like fulfills you.
Yeah.
And I think you can find that with work if you put effort into these sort of odd areas.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the quote I'm going to use.
Yeah.
Put effort into odd areas, and you'll find happiness.
Yes.
I mean, that kind of works actually.
Yeah.
We'll probably use something that's actually a
little
more,
bit
doesn't
more
make you
on
look
point.
so weird.
Yeah. I'm happy to look weird though, John. That's fine.
Okay, cool, brill, excellent.
Everyone's unique, aren't they?
Yeah, but not special.
No,
That's
no one's
the
special.
key thing.
Yeah.
Sam, this has been a real delight. Such an eye-opening and mind-opening discussion. Thank you so much for your time. Where can people find you online?
LinkedIn for my sins. I am such a nerd for LinkedIn. I'm not super, it's weird working in digital, I'm not super into social media.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of it is dross,
Yeah.
bin fires, etc. But LinkedIn does seem to be this place where people are there because they're professionals and want to develop a network and all that sort of thing. So yeah, LinkedIn, if you search for Sam Moles, I don't think there's that many of us, but I'll be the one smiling with a mustache.
I'll stick a link in the description as
Yes,
well.
please. Or you can email me and we can stick that link in. Because
Cool.
it's just going to be me reading out a series of letters with some dots and some ats in there.
Yeah, I'll put that link in so that you get loads of spam. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for being on.
John.
It's been a real pleasure.
Hopefully I'll see you at Building Brands later in the year.
Yeah. Whoa. Lots of information from Sam there for whatever point you're at in your career. Really, really useful, all the way from personal branding to work ethic and work-life balance. Thanks, Sam, for your time. Really appreciate it. And thanks, Stephens Scown, for letting me have one of your key employees for a morning. Next time, we're meeting Nigel Wilkinson from Daneswood, the digital marketing agency based in Exeter. And if you like this episode, then definitely give it a like, give it a subscribe, and check out this episode here somewhere. There's an episode on the screen. Maybe you missed it. It'll be good. I promise.